You're listening to For Film's Sake with Irving, Twitterless Joel, and Jose. Oh, right, and me, Chris. Enjoy the show. You know what? I'm just gonna go to the envelope and my eyes see For Film's Sake. Huh? Huh? Okay. Welcome to a new episode of For Film's Sake. I'm Chris, and I am joined by my chums here. Irving is with us,
Hi, everybody.
as well as Twitterless Joel.
Glad to be here, guys.
And Jose is also here.
Hello.
No, did you not like my Pacino? I mean, my half-assed Pacino? No?
I didn't even like Pacino in the first place. So
Oh,
You didn't like
I-
the original delivery of the...
I co-sign what Joel said. I
it was
co-sign.
it was so weird. I don't. And he forgot to say, "And the Oscar goes to," which I think
Yeah.
is the most important phrase where you're gonna deliver the Best Picture winner. So I don't mind that he didn't mention the nominees, which I think it's fine because
Yeah.
there have been mentioned during all the ceremony. So, but you have to say at the Oscar goes to. So
Well,
I missed that.
well, yeah, and poor, can we say colleague
think-
of
I
ours
think-
from the Next Best Picture podcast, that has to be their intro for the next year. So that should be a doozy. Welcome. So now we're, as you all know and heard here, we're going to, do this episode of a very late reaction to the Oscars. Everybody's doing it, so why not us? But not just the Oscars. We're going to talk just a general award season. We don't usually bloviate about awards season here, but we'll take an episode to do some of that. So we will do some of that. We had our own awards as well, so we're gonna talk about that. And we'll start. Jose, you were in the middle of saying something.
yeah. I was going to say that Pacino at the Oscars looked like if he was like very sleepy. I don't know. He was like
I got a
No,
word
bored,
for you to describe him. He looked wasted.
yeah. I think wasted. Yeah.
He was not with us.
Do
you
you
know,
mean
as-
drunk?
No, drunk. Yeah, drunk is like drunk is a huge understatement. But
Yeah.
anyways, now thanks to him, we're all gonna have that moment to remember. And that ceremony was kind of it ran smoothly, and that was the only sort of bump on it. But as far as the winners go, I mean, yeah, everybody has their different tastes, but at least from my perspective, I thought the winners were inspired choices, especially when you consider, different awardings that were given to other certain categories. I did not expect. I mean, not that I didn't expect, but The Boy and the Heron winning Best Animated Feature, I thought it was a shoo-in for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I like both screenplay wins for Anatomy d'une Chute and American Fiction. I thought those were inspired winners. And everything else was kind of as you'd expect it would be. Best Actress, it was a dead heat. I think it was very inspired, the winners of the past Oscars for 2023. What say you guys?
Well, I have no problem, right? Like I like all the winners, and most of them actually. But I agree with you that the ceremony went very smoothly. I thought it went rather quickly, which is a first in because one of the main grievances of the Oscar is that it's too long. But even when they added the format of represented act the acting categories, even with that, the ceremony went really fast, and I'm grateful for that. I don't know, and it went fast, but it wasn't. Um, it didn't affect the quality of the ceremony, so I like that.
And even so, it was it was 3.5 hours. But it's it, I think the earlier start time helps. I don't think I think the complaint might be it's too long, but it sounds more like the actual complaint is it runs until real late. I think that's the actual complaint when somebody says it's too long. Um, what more reactions do you guys have of the ceremony? Irving?
Nah. that's my
Ah,
that's my reaction.
Come on.
Nah.
come
If
on.
any if anybody knows me knows that I was very thrilled last year because I I was on the bandwagon with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think that that was very inspiring. Um, is specifically the whole success that that movie had. I have my reservations with this. I agree that the show ran smoothly. It was I would say that the pacing was great, and I think that the musical acts were very different and sparse one from the other. So it felt like every single time that somebody was performing, it was kind of like almost like a surprise, which ironically was something that for me did not happen in the awards itself. I think that this is not on the Oscars. I think this is more on the media, how much we are now um I would say like saturated with many different type of like coverage with the awards bodies and the critics choices and I'm not talking about the Critics' Choice Awards. I'm talking about like the body of critics, like they are just like, selecting their winners. So you start noticing that when there is a trend and it repeats itself, I think it's something that kind of like it's a little bit boring. You can feel happy for the actors themselves, and I this is the part in which I don't have anything against the winners. I think that Cillian Murphy, it's somebody that we've been seeing for a long time in many movies, especially with Nolan and also in Netflix Peaky Blinders. And I feel like, he's very likable. And it seems like everybody loved him. And Emma Stone, she's a darling. She's the star of one of my favorite movies ever, La La Land. So even though I was rooting for Lily Gladstone because what I think that that could mean, it like Emma Stone performance was undeniable. Divine Joe Randolph was probably the best thing for me of the whole night. And Robert Downey Jr., I think when he was giving the speech, it felt like he was playing Tony Stark. So
I
for
agree.
me, like awarding Christopher Nolan, it's gonna look it it will it will absolutely age very well because I think that Christopher Nolan, even though he's very respected right now, I think he's gonna go at the end of the day like as one of our true best, directors ever. And I think that having that recognition right now as an Academy Award winner will cement his legacy even more. But I think that beyond that, if you notice, I think that there was the winners were spread between Oppenheimer, Poor Things, And I think that maybe Zone of Interest, the remaining of the other winners, I think that they only won one award. And that is the part for me that it's a little bit meh. I was expecting a little bit more of like more surprises and
Yeah, I can understand that.
it's just
And
that.
it's
It's
like you
nothing
said,
against it. Nothing against it.
come
It's just like
coming into the Oscars, you kind of knew who was going to win what.
yes, that
So
is
I think
you said it.
that's
You
your
said it. I
beef.
didn't want it to say it like that. I didn't want it to say it like that because I don't want to, kind of like disrespect like the impact that this has on other people. But yeah, it was it was it was that. But I think that, I think that all movies that were awarded, all of them are really great films. Like that's
Yeah,
what I will end with.
there wasn't a villain this year
No, no,
like
no,
there have
no,
been
not
in
at
other
all.
years.
Not at all.
Go ahead, Joel.
No, I just want to say that, I mean, what Irving says, that at some point the award season becomes predictable, especially after the Oscar nominations. It's something that it's not new, you know. I've been doing this for a while, and I know what Irving feels. That it becomes even boring to predict the winners at a certain point, because there's some winners that that they're not going to change. There going to be a few that is going to be between two options, one or the other. But most of the time, when we are in this part of the season, it becomes very predictable because everything else has been given. So it gives you an idea of what's going to happen in the last ceremony, which is usually the Oscars, which makes me wonder how boring must have been 1997 when Titanic won, and 2003 when Return of the King won everything. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. You're right. You're
and,
right.
and, and,
You're absolutely
and,
right.
and where I'm going is that this is the first year in a few. We have had the last 5 years of Oscars have been nothing but diverse, in the sense of many movies won many awards. Um, Last year and this year, but mostly this year, has been the first time that like one film goes out for it, which is Oppenheimer in this case. And it's a shame, and I think this is why Irving is a little like bit frustrated. I don't know, because this year was so good. Like every film deserved an award this year, and to see only two of them, Oppenheimer and Poor Things, win everything, and the others maybe one instead of two or three, whatever. It's like, oh man, seriously? Like
Yeah,
everyone should have an award. Like
yeah. Like
Oprah says,
I
you have
think
an award, you have an
This year
award,
was
you have
so
an
good that
award.
you can probably make a separate best picture lineup with other films, and it's
yeah,
still better
yeah,
than other years that you might mention. And
a
I think
hundred
that's
percent.
what could be, the gripe for many people, because not every film, but it feels limited that way. So I agree with that. Jose?
Yeah, it's great. And before Jose talks, and because he's been waiting for a little bit, I just wanted to say, Joel, I don't know if if Chris must do a lot of editing in this episode, I am assuming. But Joel, you're right. That is exactly how I feel, because this 2023 was an awesome year that will go down in history of probably one of the best years in movie making or filmmaking in the last probably 50 years or 40 years. Go ahead, Jose. Sorry.
That's okay, man. I really love that Godzilla minus one won VFX this year. That's like a kick in the butt for Hollywood because of their budget, their high budgets on VFX, and the movies looks like meh. um, what do you guys say about like Academy Award winner Christopher Nolan? That sounds really Really good.
Well, let me say first about Godzilla minus one. Yes, because apparently the original,
Mhm.
country that produces Godzilla, they're
Yeah,
doing it right, and they've always done it right. And yes, the United States and their big studios, they are trying to do Godzilla, and it just they don't do it right. And Godzilla minus one is the perfect example of how to do a perfect movie about that character, about the monster, and to add a human story and a human element that you care about. Not like I don't care about mentioning it. Not like the sad excuse of the last how many movies are there? Three, now fourth coming? No. Godzilla movies? No. The only good thing about the past Godzilla movies, I'll give you the first one, the Gareth Edwards directed one. I'll give you that one. But everything else is just, I'm sorry, it's trash.
I
and,
agree.
and the only good thing about the other Godzilla films, it's that there's a scene in King of the Monsters where they destroy Fenway Park. That's the only good thing about it. Yankees fan here, if you didn't know. but
Hey, hey,
Boo.
hey, take it easy. Come on.
Boo.
but I jest. I jest. Not really. But anyways, to answer Jose's question, yes, we're definitely going to see Academy Award winner Christopher Nolan in the trailer for his next movie. It's like gonna be there in bright lights.
And on the posters also, like a film by Academy Award winner Christopher Nolan. Oh my God. And
Uh,
on
uh,
the trailers, of course, yeah.
hey, and maybe they'll release another steelbook edition of Oppenheimer with those credentials.
Oh my God.
Now, let me shift gears a little bit where we've been talking Oscars. We had our own awards, and we also awarded Oppenheimer for Best Picture. But I'll say that we had a better distribution of wins. I think we do.
We did
Right?
it better.
I think we
Oscars.
did it better.
I don't know.
I mean, I haven't,
I don't know.
I haven't read here. Obviously, Oppenheimer won the most, but look at the films that won, multiple categories. I'm only mentioning the ones that won multiple categories. Past Lives, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, All of Us Strangers. That's one for
Mhm.
Irving, and Anatomy Dune Shoot also won. And we also gave recognitions to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, May December. And interesting, Poor Things only won one category for us. So I think we did it slightly better, but we have less categories.
My thought was I feel like what Irving felt with the Oscars, I felt with our awards this year. I don't know. Because
What?
no, wait. Let me explain myself. It's just that in the past 4 years, our awards were like, very different to the Oscars, like more different than this year's Oscars. Like, yes, we gave awards. We managed to give awards to many movies, more than the Oscars did. But at the same time, we ended sort of like at the same with the Oscars. Like, we gave Best Picture to Oppenheimer, which I don't mind. I know most of you like Oppenheimer. I like it too, but not to be my first choice. But other than that, it's like, okay, it's cool. I
I
think
co-sign,
the
Joel. I
perfect, yeah,
co-sign.
the perfect example of how our awards are so different to the Oscars. I think it was last year. Our awards didn't give it to Everything Everywhere All at Once, right, Chris? I don't
Correct.
remember. Yeah,
Correct.
who
Last
won
year,
that year?
our best film last year was The Banshees of Inisherin.
That's crazy.
But we
That's
also
great. No,
gave,
it's good. It's good. It's good.
but
It's
we
a good win.
also
But
we also gave the year before. We also gave it to The Power of the Dog, which had won pretty much most of the big awards except the Oscars,
yeah.
because that, of course. So, uh, you know, sometimes we imitate the Oscars, but sometimes we imitate other awards.
Hmm.
There was that year where Parasite won everything, and we gave it to
Give it to
them
Parasite.
too.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yes.
Parasite won our awards unanimously.
That's crazy. That's good.
So our
Yeah.
best film winner actually unanimously, and that was the first one we did. So, uh, yeah, that's just
Hey,
how it goes.
speaking of Parasite, how well that movie has aged so far. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna stop you there.
Almost 5 years after the fact, that could have been a final shot, Joel. No, but your final shots are a bit spicier than that.
Yeah, I
So,
know. I know.
so, but now to kind of finish up, I want to say that while we all love the awards and we love award season and it's come to an end, some people, and many people, I'm one of them who advocates this. All the awards are fun, but let's not enjoy movies under the scope of awards, right? How many times do you see people seeing a movie, like, for example, the big movie that we're seeing lately is Dune Part 2, uh, and everybody says, "Oh, I love Dune. It was so great." Then he's going to take the Oscar next year. Seriously, because in our group chat, I said that, but I said it in jest to bother some of you guys, and Irving's the only one who who answered back like, uh not offended, but like, no. But not watch movies under the scope of awards. Like, just let's enjoy movies because they're awesome.
They are, and absolutely, I agree. I think that people needs to simmer down, and also we have this, approach that every single year we start comparing it with the previous one, and I think that each year, I don't know, but I've noticed that there is something that it's a common denominator, and I think that the common denominator of last year was that we had a very strong presence of international films that we I think that most of us identify with. And I think that it you know it's making us to expand our palette, in terms of like movies. And I am saying this because I have coworkers who I've recommended films such as, Anatomy of a Fall, even a Zone of Interest, and also The Promised Land. And it ended up like being good recommendations because they liked it. They watched it, they liked it, and I've been telling them like this is exactly how you know international, European, Asian films are like they're ones that are really really good. They don't get the same coverage and the same attention as other ones, but this is exactly exactly what why I love movies. So maybe this year, Chris, this year, and Joel and Jose, I think this year is going to be the year of the renaissance of the blockbuster films that are not necessarily related to superhero films. And I'm talking about films that at one point were successful as, Armageddon, films that were, probably like, the Mission Impossible 2, that was the number one movie of that year in 2000. And I think that there are a lot of films that are coming up that I think that they're going to appeal to that audience. Believe it or not, I think that Civil War, it's going to probably play very well. with audiences. I think that Monkey Man, The Fall Guy, and so on, so on. So maybe this is going to be the year that we'll see this blockbuster, huge blockbuster films, and that is going to be the stamp on 2024 because we started with Dune Part Two, and I think that that's where
Yeah,
we're probably going.
I like that
or
prediction. I
or
like that prediction.
last year, Irving, like we had the best picture winner, Oppenheimer. Like it was a phenomenon, thanks for the because of the Barbenheimer phenomenon.
Right.
But this year, like that Alex Garland film, for example, that can make a lot of money at the box office. Um, that the Dev Patel one that comes in the next 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah. Monkey Man. Yeah.
Monkey Man. I haven't seen any
Yeah.
trailer about it yet. I'm really excited. So
Oh,
Yeah. No, that's
oh, oh, you're
I
missing out.
I
That
agree.
looks
I agree, and
amazing.
I think yeah, some of those those blockbuster type movies that are
Gladiator
not
2.
superhero. Yeah, where
Yeah, and we spoke about this, right? In a few, like, I think a couple of like podcast episodes. We spoke about films that are coming this year, but I have started to notice because of this, the whole list of films that are about to be released. I think that we're gonna see a lot of, successful films, and I'm not saying that they're gonna reach the billion necessarily, but they're gonna make a lot of money. So yeah, I think that that's probably
also
what's gonna be this year.
also I wanted to add that Poor Things was a really hit at the box office for being an indie film. 100 million in box office. So that's really awesome. It's like a signal that people want to see something different, maybe. What do you guys say?
yeah, no, and yeah, people do want to see something different, and I've read recent articles and stuff like that about surveys that people do desire more original ideas, and what the movies that we just mentioned, they have like creative minds behind it that we know can do something. We mentioned Monkey Man. Dev Patel's the director. Jordan Peele's the producer behind that. You think of Civil War, Alex Garland, who's been a longtime writer, has been directing his movies for a little bit now. I just
And
got the
releasing on
note,
IMAX also.
right. I got the note of here, Joker, the second Joker film, Todd Phillips. That's not a superhero movie per se, but it's something different than what we've gotten in recent times. And of course, Dune, even though it's a big IP, it's something that it has a great creative mind behind it. So I think that type of blockbuster with good creative minds behind it, it's gonna be a blowout. Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this is the year of the blockbuster, but for me, it is insane that, and I agree with Jose Omar. I'm not saying I not agree with him, but it's insane that we consider Oppenheimer as a blockbuster, because that's the film that, if you tell me the plot of that film without telling me about the Barbenheimer effect and everything that happened in 2023, I would not believe you that that was a blockbuster. So that speaks to the hungry that has the people of seeing big epics in cinemas, and movies that are more than what we have been having these past few years of, you know, comic book films and reboots and resets and prequels and sequels and everything about that. It's
Well, I
something
mean,
different. Hmm.
I think, when you talk about different phenomenons in movies, you know, you always think of name recognition directors. I
Of
think
course.
Oppenheimer having the name recognition of Christopher Nolan has
Hmm.
a lot to do with that. I think if Oppenheimer was directed by Josh Trank,
Oh
uh,
Lord, no,
nobody
no.
would
Oh,
be interested in that.
what? What?
Don't do
Oh
that,
no.
Chris. But the other thing I was gonna say about this year, I'm very excited to watch everything that the summer has to offer. Um, I believe, and I know that Chris, you taught us like 5 minutes ago that we shouldn't, um, base our views of film based on awards, based on award
But you're going
chances.
to base something on awards now. Go ahead.
Yes, because I think this could be the first time in many years that the Oscars have more than one blockbuster in their Best Picture lineup. I think this is the first time we're gonna have at least, and I'm gonna bet on it, three, at least three. It can be more.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it can be. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that this is a good kind of like conversation because I also think that what probably going to be 2025 when we're going to get films from Paul Thomas Anderson, we're probably going to get films from I don't know if
Michael
Greta
Mann.
Gerwig, Michael Mann, possibly. So there are going to be other, like, tour filmmakers who are going to release their films next year. So I think that this year will be just, I think it's going to be a fun year. I'm assuming it's going to be a fun year. And I'm very excited. Like what I've seen in South by Southwest, like reviews, some of the films, like the horror film Immaculate with Sydney
Yeah.
Sweeney had great reviews as well. And that is kind of like, it's appealing to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
kind of very excited to see more of that. And by the way, I'm not promoting this, but on April 20, I think 24, 26, they're going to release Hereditary on IMAX. And I'm
Oh
very
boy.
tempted to see it for the second time in my life.
And I wanted to say that, like I said earlier, that IMAX is now is considered like the biggest screen for watch blockbusters, and now after, even if Oppenheimer and it's a film by Christopher Nolan, and he loves the format, but there also these other filmmakers like Alex Garland, even Paul Thomas Anderson
Hmm.
was announced that his next film will be screened on IMAX. Maybe
Yeah.
that's like Paul Thomas Anderson. Previously, he has made some indie films, some movies that are not commercial,
Right.
like Dune Part Two or something like that. So this is like another step for cinemas, for the movie
Yeah.
goers, and I think that's really great news.
Yeah. That is great news. And I want to go back to phenomenons. I think the best picture win for Oppenheimer, it makes the Barbenheimer phenomenon even better, right? Because the phenomenon was great in itself as a great double feature to do that a lot of people did. But then when you consider Barbie was the highest grossing film, and now the best picture winner is part of the phenomenon, that to me is like the best cinematic phenomenon since Endgame. Post-pandemic, the first big post-pandemic phenomenon was the
Mhm.
Barbenheimer.
Yeah, post-pandemic, I agree. Yeah.
So I think it was fun, and now we can move forward and stop thinking about awards. So we're just gonna wrap it up and go. But first, final shots.
Hulk! Forget it! How dare you!
All right, let's do some final shots here. Irving, what's your final shot?
My final shot is that Oscars are still so white.
Undeniable. Jose, what's your final shot?
If I am listening too much to the Smiths recently, am I becoming the killer?
Oh my. Is that a rhetorical question? Joel, what's your final shot?
If you were bothered by Poor Things because you thought it was a feminist film, then you should reevaluate your reading comprehension skills.
Oh, all right then. And my final shot is, who wants to bet that somebody in next year's Oscars is going to say, "And my eyes see"? Who wants to bet that somebody wants to say that? And that's my final shot. So, enjoyed this and catch us next time on For Film's Sake. We are out. Thanks for listening. Find our episodes on Spotify and YouTube. Also, follow our Instagram for FilmSake Pod.